prepare to begin our meeting, everyone except for Jeremy, please silence your mobile devices. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeremy, was that? I didn't. I couldn't pass that up.
That's cold-blooded,
I
Mayor.
know. It was an attempt at a joke. Are we good? Are we good? All right. At this time, the mayor will call to order the regular city council meeting for 6 p.m. Tuesday, July the 25th of 2023, City Council Chambers, 201 East Nash Street, Terrell, Texas. We have with us District 2, Grady Simpson, District 5, Phil Robison. Is it Robison or Robison? Let's get this right. Robison, okay. If I mispronounce it, just stop me. I want to make sure we get that right. Robison, Phil Robison, I know. But we ought to be able to get that right. So Phil Robison, District 5, not with us, but excused are District 3, Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem, and District 4, Stephanie Holmes Thomas. At this time, we have with us the new pastor for First United Methodist Church here in Terrell, Pastor Jerry Jones. If you would please come forward and lead us in invocation, and please remain standing for our pledges.
Let's pray. Almighty God, what a great day to be alive today. We are thankful for this chance to be together, to be a part of the beauty of this day, to be a part of this community. I'm grateful for those in this room, those at the tables, those who have committed themselves to service to our community, to making this a safe and thriving place, a great place for every single person to live. We are thankful for this time and ask a blessing as discussions are had, as decisions are made, that they would glorify you in all that we do. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
So, Pastor, if you would remain there for just a minute.
Sure.
I do have a... So, as you may know, we're celebrating our sesquicentennial year. This year, 150 years strong. I have a coin, commemorative coin with the city of Terrell, and the logo's on there. We'd like to present that to you and say thank you for coming and doing our invocation. If you would, let's take a photo real quick here in the middle. Good, all right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here.
My
You bet,
pleasure.
you bet. All right, next, and I've been told by Don Style, who runs this thing, not to touch the microphone. So please do not touch our microphones. They're in position to catch our voices for our live feed. So this time we have mayor and council community recognitions and events. I have two folks that I would like to bring forward so that they can brief us a little bit on what's going on in the city of Terrell. Let's start with Allison and the mural walk. Ms. Walker, would you come forward, please?
Good afternoon or evening, Mayor and Council. On September the 16th, we will be bringing the second Terrell Mural Walk here in downtown Terrell. It's scheduled from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are still working on a lot of different plans for that day, but one of them will be an art show and reception with some of the mural artists and some other local artists. And we hope to be able to have that in one of the downtown buildings that are being renovated. We have over 20 murals, and each of the participants will be issued a mural passport, and they will be able to obtain points by taking pictures at murals and purchasing items from local merchants, as well as visits to the BFTS Museum or the Terrell Heritage Museum. And then according to how many points they accumulate, they will be eligible for different prizes. So also Patty Yoakum, I think she's next on your list. She's here as well, and she also is working on an event that day. But
Patty, would you come forward, please?
With the help of Allison and the Chamber, Oakland Memorial Park, the big cemetery on Moore, is going to conduct our first memorial walk. And we're going to do it in conjunction with the mural walk. It's going to be from 12 to 5. It is a fundraiser for the cemetery, but we're going to highlight the founding fathers. This is our theme this year. So we've got characters lined up. We have family members that are going to be representing their descendants that lived here in the early 1800s. So we're really looking forward to it. And it's going to be our first one and hopefully not our last.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Does anybody else have any recognitions? Yes.
one more.
Okay.
I don't have many details on it yet, but that same evening, the #1 BFTS Museum will also host a casino night. So I don't have a lot of details. Do you know what? Okay, so it's going to be a full day in Terrell,
Busy day.
Yes.
And that date again is
September the 16th.
September the 16th. Everybody.
Starting at 10 a.m. till evening, you will have something to do in Terrell.
Wonderful. Good. Anyone else? Yes, go ahead.
So I'm going to thank staff and the elected officials up here for recognizing me, or recognizing for me the passing of my father-in-law. He was a Vietnam combat veteran. He won the Distinguished Flying Cross for his combat missions over Vietnam. We laid him to rest at the Dallas National Cemetery on Thursday last week, and really appreciate all the well wishes and all of the remembrances that were passed my way, and my family appreciates it. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And again, give recognition to, one of that generation from the Vietnam War, that they soldiered along, went to war, sacrificed, and fought bravely, and gave a big chunk of their lives to their country. So thanks really to everybody who was involved in the Vietnam conflict. It means a lot to me personally, and I appreciate everybody pitching in for that event.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, I'd like to give special recognition to my Aunt Ruby Shaw, who was the wife of my Uncle E.P. Shaw. She passed away a few days ago at 94 years old. She serves as an educator over 40 years to continue to tutor and help a lot of kids after her retirement. Great contributor to our community, and just want to take time to recognize her efforts and her contributions.
Wonderful. Yeah, she was a special woman. Thank you. All right, anybody else? Good. All right, next on the agenda is to hear remarks from visitors. Do we have anyone? Have none. We'll move on to adoption of the minutes. This is discuss and consider the minutes from the special city council meeting and workshop on June the 29th of 2023 and the regular city council meeting on July the 18th of 2023. Is there a motion on item 6.1?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve the special city council meeting and workshop June 29, 2023, as well as the regular city council July 18, 2023.
There a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2, a second from Phil Robison. Dadgummit.
It's Robinson, Mayor.
Robison. Why is that so hard for me, man? Robison.
It's hard for everyone.
All right.
Even I get
I expect that. Robison, okay. Robison. A second from Phil Robison, District 5, to approve the minutes of the special city council meeting and workshop on June the 29th of 2023 and the regular city council meeting on July 18th of 2023. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Motion carries with, any opposed? Motion carries with unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.1, discuss and consider FY22 audit. This can be handled by our city manager, Mike Sims.
So, Mayor and Council, we had hoped to have all of this wrapped up. As you know, Patilla Brown Hill is your audit firm. We have had good conversations with them here recently. Shelley Wallace, your finance director, and I reviewed a couple of pieces of that data today. We think we'll be back real soon for that final audit approval, and we'll have Patilla Brown in here to make that presentation to you soon. So no need to take action on audit today, as we are just a little delayed getting that document finalized for you.
So this was a discuss and consider. Should we table this, or
I'd say pass until audit firm's available to present.
is that what we do?
Take no action, Mayor.
No action? We don't need a motion? or
No,
anything?
no, not a
That's
motion
fine.
on that.
Okay, I just want to make sure, okay.
We just pass on.
All right. Next item on the agenda is 7.2, discuss and consider ordinance number 2992 on first reading, amending Chapter 8, offenses and nuances by adding Section 22, graffiti. This is going to be handled by Raylan Smith.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I have before you ordinance number 2992. This is an ordinance for the City of Terrell, which will allow us the opportunity to help some of our downtown business owners, also our property owners of those high hit areas for graffiti. The ordinance, as it's written, allows the City of Terrell to notify owners of this ordinance, and what we are seeking is a waiver from those property owners to allow us to go onto the property and actually abate the graffiti before it turns into notices or a true nuisance or code enforcement issue. When I brought this to you last week, you did express concerns about all the manners that we could use to notify owners, and so all forms of communication, including electronic, email, as well as telephone, will be utilized. And what we will do is create a log, much like we do with code enforcement, and so we will have all of that documented of who we receive information from and when those things are actually abated downtown. So we clean that up just a little bit to clearly state all the ways that we could communicate.
Does anybody have any questions for Raylan?
Just want to say thank you for amending that ordinance. It makes a lot more sense now. I think that we're kind of employing all those methods of communicating to the building owner.
Sure.
To understand our intent to clean the graffiti, and
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
All right, anyone else? All right, thank you, Raylan. So this is a discuss and consider. This is ordinance number 2992. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance number 2992 regarding graffiti.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
All right, second.
We have a motion from Phil Robinson, District 5, a second from Grady Simpson, District 2, to approve ordinance number 2992 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries with unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.3. Discuss and consider ordinance number 2993 on first reading, amending Chapter 5, Business Regulations, Section 5-16, Special Events, Paragraph 4, Approval of Plans, Subparagraph E3, Food and Beverage Services. This again is Raylan Smith.
Yes, sir. This is ordinance number 2993. This simply, last week, you approved upon second reading our food truck ordinance, which was brought into our zoning ordinance, and what this does is just address those regulations and standards that were set within our special events permit.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Smith? Okay, again, this is, thank you, Raylan. This is discuss and consider. This ordinance number will be 2993. Is there a motion on ordinance 2993?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve ordinance 2993.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2, a second from Phil Robinson, District 5, to approve ordinance number 2994 as presented. 2993, I'm sorry. 2993 as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.4. Greg, since you're having this, read that into the record.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Ordinance number 2994 on first reading would be repealing Chapter 4, Building Regulations, Section 419, Neighborhood Integrity Code, and replacing the same with a new Section 419, Adoption of the International Property Maintenance Code. This comes to you tonight on first reading. We briefed you on this at the last meeting. This was basically upgrading our existing ordinances to where we fully incorporate the International Property Maintenance Code, which we have applied in all of our code enforcement matters going forward.
This is just some internal housekeeping.
Yes, sir, it is, updating.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for our city attorney?
Yes, Mayor. This
Yes.
is on all maintenance codes, the international code for all maintenance.
Yes, it's the
Internal.
property maintenance code.
Okay.
It deals not only with the way you keep your property, it has to be kept up to certain standards and so forth.
According to international.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion on ordinance number 2994?
Question, did we, in sort of drafting, putting this together, do we consult with maybe Chris or any of our city engineers?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the city engineer and all the code enforcement individuals were very much a part of this.
Did they have any specific thoughts to share, anything of that nature that might be?
Not other than they'd like to see the International Property Maintenance Code adopted into our ordinances,
Okay,
which is what this does.
okay.
Okay. Anyone? Good? All right. Is there a motion on 2994?
Yes, Mayor, motion to approve 2994.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2, a second from Phil Robinson, District 5, to approve ordinance number 2994 as presented on first reading. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries with unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.5, discuss and consider amendment for East Moore Water Main Project. This is going to be our project engineer, Jeremy Mungan.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I bring before you the East Main project for an amendment. So pretty much the East Moore Main project consists of a replacement of an existing main from North Blanche to Birch Street. So the amendment will consist of additional consulting from the McManus and Johnson consulting firm to pretty much turn this project into a turnkey. This amendment will consist of $35,000, which would bring the total to $209,700.
And we discussed this last week,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Before you brought it through. So does anybody have any new questions for Jeremy on this item? Or they need clarity on anything? No? Okay. Thank you very much. So this is a not-to-exceed number that we're considering of $35,000, bringing the total to $209,700. Okay, got it. Is there a motion for 7.5?
Motion to approve 7.5.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Mayor, do we have to mention?
No, yeah, we'll do it. I'll, yeah.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want a second?
I second.
All right. We have a motion from Phil Robinson, District 5, a second from Grady Simpson, District 2, to approve an amount not to exceed $35,000, bringing the total service agreement to $209,700 with McManus and Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item is a discussion item. This is going to be handled by Mr. Sims. This is a discuss budget and strategic plan schedule. Mr. Sims.
So, Mayor and Council, this starts off on page 36, and Dawn's put it in front of you here. We have received part of the information we need on our certified values from KCAD. That's what allows Shelley and I to do the math on being able to propose the tax rate to you. We're waiting for a couple of other pieces of that. As you can imagine, that's actually a fleet information. And so we are hopeful that we'll get all that so that we can put your draft tax rate and your draft budget on the website on Friday. You'll have your budget retreat on August the 3rd and the 4th. That's an all-day discussion on both of those 2 days. I will say we are going to try to get that to finish up fairly early in the afternoon on Friday. August the 8th is another review of all of that draft material, and then we come around for voting on our $27 million debt issuance on the 22nd. So you'll have good knowledge there about the tax rate implications of that $27 million on August the 22nd. And then you get another crack at discussing the budget on the 29th, and then your tax rate hearing and tax rate vote and budget ordinance vote. All of that happens starting on September the 5th, and then you've got your water and sewer and your stormwater rates that all get approved on September the 12th. So it's a busy period of time for us, and I'll flip kind of to the next page or two here. There's also the schedule with the strategic plan, and you can see that we're aiming for a vote on that soon. Glenn Caldwell will be the home run hitter at the end of the lineup today and give you a presentation on the public services version of the 3-year strategic plan. On agenda item page 46, there's a blank there because that's what I'm busy collecting right now. I've got 3 of our 5 elected officials have helped us complete this page. This is vision and goal statements from mayor and council. I've got 2 more rounds of collecting that information so that we can fill that out for all of our elected officials and get those vision and goal statements in. And I'd say those are always kind of top of the line information for us. So we very much appreciate that input. Then I would say if you just go like page one page forward there, the thing I would really advise council is if you take a look at this page and then moving forward for the rest of the pages through the 3-year strategic plan, if you've got any comments, questions, concerns, anything you want us to take out, add, delete, edit, whatever it might be in all of those goal statements that came forward from working with our directors and working through this process over the last several months, if you've got any last changes on that, get those to myself or to Dora or to Amira soon so that we as the team working on this strategic plan can make sure that we have your feedback as early as possible. We are trying to get it to vote soon and would appreciate any feedback on any of those specifically listed items. So that's all I had. Happy to take any comments or questions about that.
Does anybody have any questions or info for Mr. Sims on this item?
So Mike, you'd like us to just kind of send you any changes we have via email or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be simple as, hey, item 4.5.1, I don't like the way it's worded, I'm concerned about it. If I find that it's something that we need to get the full council talking about, then I can do that. If it's a issue that could be as simple as, man, it doesn't make any sense because we messed up the grammar, then hey, help me out with grammar. Whatever you might want to pass on to us. And then the main part, of course, is I've got 3 of my 5 elected officials have given me what I'd kind of call top 10 lists of even if it didn't neatly fit into one of those categories. Maybe it's just a broad overarching goal that you want to see for the city. We get those down, and so those come at the start of the 3-year strategic plan so we can have documentation. And of course, staff uses these 3-year strategic plans all the time to go back, reference, and say, hey, is staff going in the policy direction that the city council is asking us to go in?
Anyone else? Yep. All right, so if you would please reach out to Mike and let's move forward on that. Next item on the agenda is 8.2. Discuss public services strategic plan. This is going to be handled by our Director of Public Services, Glenn Caldwell. Glenn, condense this, shorten it, get the highlights, and we'll review the plan in its entirety, okay?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Okay, we'll dive right in. The Public Service Department mission is to serve as leaders, improve reliability and efficiency toward our services, to develop a comprehensive set of work activities, teamwork, communication, skill, and adaptability. Here we have our organizational flow chart, starting with the Director of Public Services, working through all of our staff that we have currently. We did include individuals on this as well. Next page shows the exact individuals for every single department. Sanitation proposed goals for FY 24-26. October 1st, 2023, phase in planned franchise fee increase. Obviously, that's been completed. We've gone over the contract extension, which has been completed. Council had an opportunity to discuss the service changes if there were any. We're moving forward as per our discussions in some of our previous conversations related to sanitation. So we're excited about the progress that was made. Emergency support, that's one of the items that we don't talk a lot about, but it's one of those items that we definitely have been taking steps to improve. Our goal is to create an RFP for third-party support in cases of emergencies, enhance our staff training for emergency response. That's ongoing. Develop a rapid response team. As you can see, we've got identified individuals that will be active on that team. Emergency management coordinator, building superintendent, street superintendent, parks foreman, and fleet manager, as well as improve our stockpile and resources to accommodate. Public service support goals, establish annual procurement. We just talked about that for a third party. Brush services, that's critical. In case of emergencies, we definitely need someone to assist with extracting all of the brush that you identify or debris after effect of emergency. Improve response stockpile, that's one of our goals. We plan to achieve that. We need to identify at least 20 acres or more or less through developers partnership for emergency material storage. Local streets and drainage. I won't hit every one of these, Mr. Mayor, but I'll do a quick snap of some of those that are ongoing. Implement quality improvements with street lighting, street signs, and street markings. We're looking at determining a set of streets associated for big capital project. That's a 10-year capital improvement plan. Improve crisp and clean. That's a priority for the city. Address drainage improvements as needed. Alamo, good example. And that is ongoing, in progress. Improve quality, safety, long-term monitoring of utility cuts and repairs. Project updates. Street maintenance program 2023 is in effect. Contractors are on the ground doing all the work necessary to get us a couple of miles of great paved streets. Keep good streets good. So that's ongoing currently. Downtown revitalization, phase 2, project 2018. That's in progress. That's your Medora Cottage sidewalk project. So we're making great strides, and we should close that out hopefully by the end of the week. If not, early next week, that grant project will be completed. Proposed goals on drainage. As you can see, we definitely want to develop an annual funding source to install storm pipe in the ground so that we've got a surface that will receive the water, get the water below ground, and possibly put sidewalks on top. Implement processes for installing curb cut inlets, and we got a picture on the right-hand side for those that have never seen that type of design. Next, proposed goals, equipment resources, upgrading traffic control devices, tons. I mean, there's several things that we need to do there. We need more. As the city grows, the area grows, we need those resources. Convert city signs to square posts. If you haven't seen that in other cities, I'd ask you to consider looking at that. I think it'll clean up things. It'll make it much better, more improved. When signs are damaged, we can efficiently repair them much quicker. Acquire one-man patch truck. One man, one truck. That's a goal of ours. Replace existing stop signs in high-traffic areas with LED lighting. You've seen that around some of the communities. City of Seagoville has implemented that, and they are awesome. Proposed goal, street maintenance. Continue with annual budgeting of 5 miles, pay-as-you-go process for street maintenance. It's a good thing. Pursue developer partnership for county roads. County Road 318, good example. Other streets as well. Pave all rock roads in the city limits. We're about there. We're close. We are making substantial progress. Enhance annual asphalt crack seal, concrete joint seal, and introduce asphalt fog seal. I want to add a word to that. Pressure pave, some of the other processes that are out there, and state of the art. Something new comes along, we need to definitely take a close look at it. Street drainage crew proposed goals. Establish a full crew for drainage, full-time, 24/7 is our goal, 8 to 5, but as needed, after hours. 2 additional staff members for sign maintenance. Additional staff for streets, obviously that meaning if you buy a patch truck, we need to man the patch truck. Street goals, streets and drainage, FY 24-26, continue to monitor the maintenance streets based on street analysis, continue to implement quality improvements, annual monitoring and maintenance drainage along open drainage ditches. We talked about that, closing those ditches in and getting all of that drainage below ground. Improve quality, safety, and long-term monitoring of our utility cuts. Critical path. We have utility cuts. We need to be proficient in addressing those. Add budget line item for land acquisition and safety improvements. Buildings. Again, Mr. Mayor, I'll hit some of the highlighted items. Good news, some of the modifications there at here at City Hall, we were able to make improvements here. Old City Hall, municipal development, lease program space for the library, which was the Literacy Depot. Consider transitioning animal shelter to partner facility, that's in progress. Address HVAC, electrical issues, upgrades at multiple buildings. We'll continue to work on that. It's just no end to that. That's just a constant process. Assist strategy for cleaning all buildings, not just PD. Highlights. Public restroom remodel was done. The women's restroom turned out great, repainted and refreshed. Finance department reworked the cubicles in engineering and administration. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the Literacy Depot rehabilitation was taken care of. Small things, new tables at the service center. We get a lot of visitors, and we definitely need to make sure we look the part. Pave the service center parking lot. That's a long-term goal. At some point, we definitely like to consider that. Repaint the interior of the service center is probably due. 24, 25, and 26, major building projects. Build a fire station. Rehab a fire station. Update the wastewater treatment plant. Update all city facilities for surveillance system. Move into animal adoption center building. Prepare to relocate 3 library buildings to a single town square location. Upgrade security, IT-related building systems for the police department. Critical path. Lease and utilize railroad depot. Manage safety, demo, assessment of downtown square. Proposed goals. Build a fire station. Fire station 3. Move into animal control. Rehab. Station 2. Move necessary IT. Prepare the library for relocation. Fleet. Okay. Goals. Reduce the maintenance and operations costs, continuing to use maintenance data to better develop strategies. Transition from ownership models to lease models, that's ongoing. There's another caveat to that we'll bring up a little later. Transition partnership-based public sector fuel processing. Interlocal agreement with someone adjacent in case of emergencies. We can get fuel. If fuel stations are unavailable, we need those resources. Establish effective fleet replacement schedule. That's ongoing. Fleet proposed goals. Redo additional staffing to serve emergency response fleet equipment. Currently, we do not have that in place. With our staffing in the fleet, we had several retirements. Consider feasibility of consolidating all fleet maintenance and repair services under a single organization. Currently, there's some work being done for the fire departments, some work being done for the city. We want to consolidate that and essentially get us a diesel mechanic. that can assist the fire department and not have to send the units out for weeks and weeks and weeks. So increased patrol units, obviously as we grow, the staff grows, we're gonna need more patrol units. 100% lease partnership, ownership has been changed to retain ownership of at least 15 to 20% of our vehicles. That was that caveat related to the previous comment I just made about fleet and our vehicles. This is a recap, I think you can see everything, of our police fleet. We have total units, 38. By the end of 2024, we'll be up to 42. Fire, 7 units. We're going to keep 7 units. No change there. Civilian fleet, obviously 50 units. If we have a staff member comes on board, which we had, we'll have to procure a vehicle for that new staff member. And again, we're going to retain 15 to 20% of our vehicles, which means that some of the vehicles that are currently leased will go off a lease, so that'll give us the revenue without having to come back to you and ask for more funding. Equipment request purchases, zero-turn mowers, compact excavator, power bucket, which goes on the unit that you see in the middle of your screen, a power rake, which also you see on in the middle of your screen. That's a power rake. Stump grinder, would not hurt to have one in the near future. Fleet equipment lease, compact track loader, which is a skid steer. We've had ours for about 14, 15 years, and it served its life. We definitely need to consider moving forward with something there. With all the growth and increases in services in the utility department, another mid-size excavator is definitely something that we love to consider. Obviously, we need dump trucks. We use the current units that we have on an everyday basis. And obviously, we'd love to have a one-man patch truck. Proposed goals, continue to expand fleet as to accommodate the expansion of staff. Again, transition to partnership-based public sector fueling. Change our staff from having, we have 2 vacancies, which were mechanics. One administrative tech and the other diesel mechanic. Parks, host activity there, summary from FY 22-24. I'll hit a couple of recaps. Biggest item is the land acquisitions consistent with the master plan. That's happening. Set of pay-as-you-go priorities with the Parks Board and the Paddock Board become the destination of choice for parks and youth recreation. Project updates, the pool slide is there, it's in, and we love it. Please come out and take your turn, take a trip. Breezy Hill Park court resurfacing, that's complete. Thanks to Jamie Foxx and his organization and Mr. Willie for all the efforts there. Parks Department proposed goals, there's a host of them. Ben Gill Park is included, Breezy Hill Park, Arlie White Park, Stallings Park. You take your pick. If you have any questions or you want to add more, they're all there for your review. Again, Kings Creek Park, we did not leave it out. We've got a huge grant project that we're going after. We talked about that a week or 2 ago. College Hattie Park, that one's we're working toward design. Crossroads Park, it's in progress as of today. And all parks, we feel, definitely need internet, weather alerts, park signage in all locations, because some of the parks, some people don't know where they are, and we'd love to give them an opportunity to provide a easy route to access. Again, the weather warning platform, that's been on our forefront for some time. We definitely want to, in the near future, consider this option. And this is if there's lightning in the area, then we all get a warning, we clear the area safely, and everyone gets to go home. This is the estimated cost. Annual service fee required is about $1,500 per unit in each park. You can see the units that are required to cover the parks. Youth development. We continue to host baseball, softball, baseball, any of the sports, soccer, you name it. That's our goal. We're going to continue to work toward those goals. Tell these programs, we're rocking and rolling. There's youth sports all over every night, it feels like, and the participation has been phenomenal. So we're excited about where we're going with our youth sport. And as well, Terra ISD, we implemented a Tiger Swim program. It has been a home run, and even the neighbors are copying our format and platform. So they're implementing a program in other cities to pattern after ours. Community events, we have a host of community events, and I hope we didn't leave anything off, but if we did, please forgive us. You can glance through that list and kind of see what's there. We are busy. We are busy as a department. Park Recreation proposed goals, increase event offerings, which we did this year definitely. I thought Juneteenth went from 1 day to 3 days, so that was a huge hit. Establish annual park improvements, pay as you go, become the destination of choice. We want to do that. That's our goal. The pool, proposed goals, vegetation, we've got to address that. We'd like to remove the pool deck. Maybe future goal, install a splash pad, install rinsing showers that are accessible from the pool deck and not just going into the shower room. And we did accomplish the pool slide. Goals and accomplishments, again, you saw those. We can accomplish these. Safety, signage is important in this area. The pool slide was a hit. And we definitely would like to work toward replacing the deck on the pool. Existing maintenance, you can see some of those items. We would like to get a mule at some point there at the pool on that nice, beautiful, empty wall. That's something we'd like to do in the near future. Update and convert all inside water pool lights to LED. That'll just make the pool pop. Major pool projects. We're looking at pool heaters, the filter, and upgrade our camera system, and install gutter covers around the entire inside of the pool. Proposed goals, we talked about those. I think I hit them already. And I'll open up for questions, and I know it was quick, but
That's good. So, as I was keeping track, you were requesting 6 new employees, 3 for the storm drainage crew, 2 for sign maintenance, 1 for streets.
that's correct.
In addition to that, you had 2 mechanics.
That's-
So
yes,
total
sir.
8.
Well, the 2 mechanics is not new. Those are 2 positions that are
Replacement.
vacant currently.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Those are replacements.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Correct.
And we'll, so I guess during budget, we will have those numbers, the council will have those numbers to consider?
Yes, sir. So we're evaluating the FY24 budget, and just like any of the 3-year strategic plan presentations, it may be that we find the money in FY24, it may be that it comes in FY25, FY26. All of those considerations will just be revenue dependent, and we're making that evaluation now.
I think whether we move forward with it or not, we have some numbers available to the council for debate,
Yes, sir.
Sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
That's the important thing. Whether we move forward with it or not is something that we'll determine, but I think we should have the numbers there and not get caught off guard. Does anybody have any questions for Glenn?
Hi, Glenn, how are you?
Doing well, sir. How are you, Mr. Councilman?
Doing well. Quite a few questions, actually. So my constituents want a robust street repair program. That's the main thing I hear all the time, street repair, street repair. I even, posted a poll recently to my, to my social media, had 500 plus responses. Overwhelmingly, street repair is #1 on everyone's list. I know currently our, a recent study done showed we have tons of what are called red streets, which means they're barely drivable. They're not very good streets. Things are in a bad way from a street standpoint currently. I would like to see, first of all, I have a question for you. Has any sort of study or, any kind of evaluation been done to kind of point to what it would cost to implement a more broad-scale street repair program, to do more streets, allocate more funds to street repair?
That has been done, sir, and we've got that data. We'll be glad to send it to you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we can, discuss it during budget, because I'd like to allocate a lot more to street repair. That's kind of one of my goals. let's see, also with regard to Waste Connections, oh, go ahead, do you have that? Oh. With regard to Waste Connections, when we re-upped on the deal with them, do we put any sort of benchmarks or penalties? I hear a lot of things about people's, cans being destroyed and thrown aside, and just kind of want to know what do we put into the deal to be able to sort of, ensure that they provide a quality service?
Well, there's a number of things that are in place, and that's a two-sided question that you ask, because yes, we must hold our provider accountable, but at some point as well, I think it's important that we ask our constituents to be a part of that as well. And there are components in place, and I can attest to one incident where our provider did not provide a replacement trash can for a resident, even if it wasn't their fault. So they have been 100% accountable, even when it hasn't been their fault. So they just, customer's right, let's go take care of it. So that's been the current approach, and you can't quantitate or put a number on that. So.
Okay, but there's no sort of a specific, benchmarks or penalties or anything that's built into the deal that says, okay, if we get this many complaints or if we have this many problems that are reported?
No, sir, at this time there is not.
Okay. All right, I'd like to see, we can't do it now at this point, I guess, but I'd like to see us kind of going forward with these kinds of situations, build something into those deals so we have some kind of recourse to say, okay, this isn't living up to where it needs to be, so let's, here's our recourse if we need to take it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Sure. Yes, sir.
I think that's what I have, yeah.
Grady, you got anything? Okay, we're good. Thank you very much. We'll
Thank you,
see
Mr. Mayor. Thank you,
budget.
Council.
All right. Next item on the agenda is discuss public services strategic plan. This is gonna, oh, I'm sorry, same one. You don't want to do it twice, do you, Glenn?
It was really good. We could.
At item 8.3 is discuss Paddock Board recommendations, agreement for downtown building preservation assessment. This is going to be Raylan Smith.
Good evening. A few weeks ago, I brought to you a list of projects that the Paddock Board was considering during their fiscal year 23 budget. They were wanting to bring down a little bit of their cash balance. They had some projects they were looking at, and we were trying to figure out some fiscal year 23 projects while we were prepping for 24. So the next few items that I discussed with you are just the details of some of those projects that I previously brought to you earlier. This first item is the agreement for the downtown building preservation assessment. This is our architect, Mark Thacker, who will provide an inventory of our core buildings located between Rockwall and Virginia. And what this will do is it will give us some detailed information about those buildings, information about the leasability, certain things that we know would need to happen to those buildings to bring them 100% up to code, whether it be, the brick and mortar or what information that we can obtain for the buildings. This is going to be very helpful for future tenants as well as future property owners and or any developers that are interested in our downtown properties. The main cause for this is also so that we are able to walk away with a good narrative, so that when we start working with the Texas Historic Commission, we have some detailed information about these buildings whenever we look at the brick and mortar grants.
This number that you bring back to us will be a not-to-exceed number of $63,922.
22, yes, sir.
And it's already been discussed at the Paddock level?
Yes,
From the
yes,
Paddock
this is a
board?
recommendation
Your
for
recommendation.
contract. Mhm.
Did they vote on doing that?
Yes.
Was it a unanimous vote?
It was a
to bring
unanimous
it to
vote.
the council like
Yes,
at that price?
Yes, sir.
And Thacker, has he done work for us before, Mark A. Thacker?
Yes, he's the architect under contract with Paddock.
Just clarifying for council. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Raylan? And we will see this next week?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to the next item is 8.4, discuss Paddock Board recommendation for the park capital improvement projects for FY 2023.
So for your fiscal year 23 projects, they did address 3 parks, which would be Breezy Hill, Kings Creek, and Arlie White. And so you see there a list of items that they have approved for expenditures. This will total $68,304 to install things like picnic tables, grills, and lighting for various parks.
Okay. And again, this was presented to the Paddock Board. It was unanimous vote
Yes.
to bring this item in the amount of $68,304,000,
Yes, sir.
not to exceed. Does anybody have any questions for Raylan on this item? Okay, next item on the agenda is 8.5, discuss Paddock Board recommendations, agreement for professional services, Moore Avenue landscape improvements.
This is the large landscape project that Paddock is considering for fiscal year '24 budget. This would be approximately a $500,000 landscape project that would take care of your core downtown from Rockwall to Virginia. You can tell by the map, it's multiple trees, it's all of the planter boxes. You also are going to have new planter boxes within your medians. We are working with Kimley Horn, who is also your engineer contracted for Complete Streets and Highway 80, so that we can make sure that whatever we bring in at this phase would work with any future construction projects going on along Moore. This portion of what they're requesting to expend funds for in '23 would be the design services contract. The full design service is $55,000. We're estimating that if we were able to get started next month, that we might be 50 to 75% complete by the end of the fiscal year. The hope is that we would be ready to start planting in the fall. So this project, if approved, will start moving pretty quickly.
But the request is an agreement with Kimberly Horn for
Yes,
$55,000.
right now it's just the design services, yes, sir.
You know, my only comment would be, as we look at the landscaping, that we try to do low maintenance. You know, I don't know that there's water available. in
It also
median.
includes a new irrigation
Irrigation
system.
system,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
But still, the maintenance is going to be an issue. Some of them use dryscapes in a lot of areas now. And I think looking at both options moving forward would be the smart
Absolutely.
thing to do before the decision is made.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Raylan?
I really,
Uh-huh.
couple quick questions. Again, I have concerns about the maintenance. Do we have the personnel able to maintain what we put up here, or?
This will be under contract. We will have maintenance funds dedicated through another fund. So this is completely separate from your Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, and so just to clarify that, the tax increment refinance zone number 1, so that's the district that's the older of the refinance district. That's the one that goes down to Crossroads and stretches up into the downtown area. They will be setting their budget recommendations right in the same time period that you are, obviously. They make a recommendation to the city council about their spending. One of the line items that they'll be considering is a downtown maintenance budget, which will include adequate funds for maintaining this particular project.
When this job is bid, we'll also have maintenance contracts bid at the same time for annual replants, et cetera.
Okay. And so if whatever plan we settle on for downtown, any plan we settle on will still incorporate whatever we decide upon here?
Yes,
It's
sir.
not going to be torn down at all, it's going to be there for good,
Yes,
right?
that was the complete plan for Paddock, is what can we do now that wouldn't?
I think that's a great comment. I want to go back and reorient anybody who might be listening in or watching. How does this connect to the Complete Street open house that we had a couple of months ago over at French Soiree? And we did some other meetings around that same time period together, citizen input and input from local businesses along here. One part of that input was really loud and clear, which was TxDOT had asked us to go investigate with the public about the possibility of removing the on-street parking from Moore Avenue. Well, it didn't take very long to figure out that while TxDOT might have liked that idea, that was not going to be popular in the city of Terrell. But that was good. We got that documented. It was a healthy process to go through. But we've got that documentation now, and so, okay, now what do we do? They're really left out of that, reducing the number of options down to 3 things. One is an option that you're really looking at right now, which is what can we plant and what can we beautify that would just stay good and stay pretty and help us just do a upgrade downtown within the existing concrete infrastructure that's already downtown. Without radical changes, what can we do to just upgrade the green and the aesthetic appearance of downtown? That was an option. And then there was an option related to removing the left turn lanes so that you widen the sidewalks by using the space that you get whenever you remove the left turn lanes. And the other was the very complicated idea of doing a one-way couplet downtown, okay? So of those options, one-way couplet has on-street parking, remove the left turn lanes has on-street parking, but both of those projects can be built within keeping everything you see here. And so if we get to keep everything here, then the idea was, well, why not just go ahead and move forward with a good round of planting, which was the #1 winner of our downtown Complete Streets public meeting. And then even knowing that it will take some time to work with TxDOT and work with the community and find grants and work on one of the two big ideas. Do we ever do a one-way couplet? Do we ever remove left turn lanes? Well, that might take years to work that out. So let's not sit back and wait for some big ultimate solution. Let's move forward now with stuff that we know is beneficial now. So that's kind of the thinking that came through here. So it's also kind of a nice time to say, hey, thank you for all the folks who came to the Complete Streets public meeting. You gave us feedback, it was effective, and it's helping us target some expenditures here.
One last thing, did we get a couple of different viewpoints regarding what we could potentially do here? Or is this the one proposal we decided this is the one we're gonna go with?
Paddock chose to stay with the architect that has the contract for Complete Streets. This is just simply a sample. Whenever we go into design, you'll actually get to see what they're actually planning.
Okay.
This is just a budget. It is a very broad concept, but actually going into the design of the project, you'll get to see more detail.
Okay, so it may look nothing like this.
No, as far as the actual street lamps that we're proposing, what the planners will actually look like, this was all very preliminary just to get the design started.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Raylan.
Yeah.
So it's a rendering of what it
Yes.
could be. Now, the only thing I would say is as we look at the brick breaks and you have problems with that, I like the stamped concrete.
Stamped
that's
concrete.
Yeah, I think I think it lasts longer. And if there's some discoloration, you just go back and
Right.
fix it. I think that would be an easier but I don't know.
We've got some areas, I've been taking inventory of some areas that we're definitely going to have to address. And so we'll definitely want to put a plan in place as we know we're going to have to replace some of these items, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Raylan.
All right,
Our next
thank you.
item on the agenda is discuss resolution number 2. Will this come next Tuesday as well? Yes. All of these items will be back next Tuesday. All right, next item on the agenda is 8.6, discuss resolution number 2085, adopting policies in connection with the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. This is going to be handled by our city engineer and director of municipal development, Chris Snap. I think. Well, is this, is it Jeremy? My paper, well, I'm wrong, all right. I would have called him, but, you know. Come on up, please.
Okay. So, the item I'm presenting is the Poetry Road and 34 water main extension.
I believe that's. Everybody here. This is the set of policies.
Oh, hold on.
Adopt in order to move forward on the grant. So if I go way back over here to, I'm just going to kind of help out here. So Jeremy or Chris, you throw a rock at me.
Okay.
If I go to page 140, sorry. As I go to page 142, this is resolution 2085. So often whenever we apply for a grant, in this case, Texas Department of Agriculture, they raise their hand and say, oh, we only want to give you this grant if you have such and such policies in place. So.
Yeah, let me take it from there.
All right, there you go.
We usually have this come after the next one that we're
Okay.
present. But basically, when we go before a grant, this is a grant in reference to the Poetry Road water line that we're going to go parallel, basically from forgive me on my roads, the fort, all the way to basically the high school. And then we'll be adding another 16-inch line at 34, right when you come off Tanger Drive, and it'll go behind the hotel and the truck stop. And we're gonna be creating it. He'll show you more details. That's an overall of what the project entails. I've talked about this several times before on some other projects. For that, we had to get some grants, but this is basically a resolution that we're committing, proceeding forward and committing that we're gonna pay part of this. This is a grant of project. Basically, the total project's gonna be, I'm still in his thunder a little bit, but these are gonna blend together. But the total overall project's around 900,000. The grant's gonna provide 350,000 of it. So you can roughly look at a 60-40 split on there.
So the policies that are being asked for by the grant agency are on agenda item page 143. And you can see that they're saying, hey, have a citizen participation plan and grievance procedure form. That's actually an update of something we've passed before. They have an excessive force policy, which is, I would say, weaker than the one we already have, but they wouldn't want us to pass it anyway. Fair housing policy, again, consistent with things that we've done before. The Section 504 policy and grievance procedures form and the code of conduct policy. So all of those are items where they wanted us to reaffirm or support a set of policies. This is similar to what we did recently with the Regional Transportation Council, where they said, hey, we've got 25 policies. If you adopt enough of them, then you receive some grant money. Same thing here. They want us to have those policies. And so everything that follows from agenda item page 143, if you want to read the details of all of these policies, which Chris and Jeremy are not the author of, they're transmitting those policies to you. We can answer questions about them and try to help you with them, but the basic idea is it's kind of a little bit of a mom told me to do it because you don't get the grant. Not that these are bad policies, but I'm just letting you know. They basically hand you this and say, if you want to qualify for that $350,000 that Chris is describing, we need you to go ahead and adopt the policies.
And these are state policies, not federal policies that we're adopting, or both. Right.
Most of them we already have in some form or
Right.
another that we have existing right now. Some of them stronger even than
Right.
what's on here.
Yeah, no.
We've done this similar grant policy before, probably about 2 to 3 years ago. Steve might, because we did. So these are just resolutions that says you are committed to following, you're going to abide by the rules, support the funding.
So this
on your behalf. So it's a team effort and a joint effort that you're committing along with the state.
Bottom line, you're just affirming to follow the policies you already have in effect.
Right. No, and each agency has their own little things that they like
Yeah,
to
that's
ask
it.
for.
That's
right?
it.
Have to jump to go
Yeah,
through to get
right.
the $350,000.
Yeah. So this item will come back to us next Tuesday for adoption? Yes? All right. Does anybody have any questions for either Chris or Jeremy? No? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, again, this is the other discussed TDA of the CBGD 21-0329 Poetry Road and State Highway 34 main water extensions.
Yeah, this is the fun part. We actually get to talk about what we're going to build. So Jeremy remains up at the dais here for the good news here.
So yes.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I can reinvent the wheel on this one. So of course, the Poetry Road, phase of the project is to, rebuild or install a water main to replace our outdated 8-inch existing main that's barely hanging on and barely can supply the needed capacity. And if you go on to the next, this one here, this would depict the 34 water main, which right now actually supplies the commercial, what's that, Terrell Outlets Mall, and has a bottleneck there where this 34 main would actually be an improvement for that system. Like I said, this is a grant-funded project, so it does come with timelines. May I emphasize that? So Hayter Engineering gave us a quote not to exceed $150,000 believe it was 40, 1 second,
143,
149.
49.
149,000. And I must add that I have done my due diligence and pretty much negotiated this contract with them to make sure that we do not exceed it. So any in-house services that we can do to cut the cost, we will take that option. We'll take that route. Yes.
Great. Anybody have any questions on this item? All right, and this will come back Tuesday, a not to exceed number?
Yes.
All right, next Tuesday. Wonderful, thank you. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda. All of these items are considered for routine and may be enacted by one motion vote. Does anybody wish to pull anything off of this consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay,
I'd like to separate these two items that we vote on.
okay. All right, so we have a request and it'll be granted. The first item on the consent agenda is discuss and consider ordinance number 2991 on second reading. Is there a motion on ordinance number 2991?
Motion to approve motion 2991.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? I second. We have a motion from Phil Robinson, District 5, a second from Grady Simpson, District 2, to approve ordinance number 2991 as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, unanimous consent of those present. Next item on the agenda is 9.2, discuss and consider ordinance number 2998. Is there a motion on this item?
Yes, Mayor. Motion to approve ordinance number 2998.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? The mayor will second. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, so I had some concerns regarding the this particular item last week that I expressed, simply with regard to the assessing of a misdemeanor and a potential fine of up to $500 for, unauthorized playing in an athletic field. I thought that was a bit extreme, and I would either like to make some modifications to the ordinance, or I'm likely not going to, vote yay on it.
No, that's
Yeah,
fine.
and I'm not trying to lobby you one way or the other, I just want to be clear. The fine here would not be for like a citizen walks out and starts playing on the field.
Sure.
A citizen walks out and starts playing on the field, park staff's going to show up, or the league is going to show up and say, hey, this field was reserved. They're going to say, oh, okay, no big deal, and they're going to move on. The fine in this case would be a private entity shows up and they've advertised league play, they didn't rent the field, and they start playing a league game during a time where we already reserved that field for someone else. That's the world where you would get into the penalty here.
Sure.
So I just want to be clear, that's not an average citizen would incur that fine. That's somebody purposely scheduling the field without permission. That was what that was written for.
And let me add to that, the fine that you mentioned there, that is a maximum.
Max fine.
It could be $1 if they wanted it to be. So that is just something that's imposed on the judge in this case, if it reaches the point where he is to assess a fine.
Yes,
If it
sir.
reaches that point.
So one of the comments I guess I would have would be, in some of our other ordinances where we have issued fines, they weren't as steep, and it didn't meet our objective, which was to keep people from doing things, right? And so what we found was if you set it at $25, well, here's your $25, go ahead and go mow my lawn, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the reason for setting these higher than what people would think is reasonable is to be a deterrent. It's not to be a hardship on anybody. We want you to comply with it. So, but if you don't set it up high enough, then there's a real possibility that they're making so much money during the tournament, they say, hey, here's your $50 or $100, and we're gonna keep playing.
Yeah.
And that's the goal of it. But I understand, and we all need to vote how we feel, so I'm comfortable with that.
One last point, too, I wanted the councilman to understand. That would be upon a finding of guilty.
Yeah.
Now, he would have, the person that was charged with this would have every right to have a trial before our municipal judge, even a jury trial between 6 citizens of this community, if they chose to do so. So it's not something that's just an automatic $500 and that's it. There's a due process built into the system all the way through.
But certainly understand everybody's concerned, so. There is a motion from Grady Simpson District 2, a second from the mayor to approve ordinance number 2998 as presented. All those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries with a 2-3 vote. Next, 2-1 vote, I'm sorry, 2-1 vote. Next on the agenda is executive session. We don't have any executive session. We are adjourned. Thank y'all very